I'm really curious on understanding what you guys have in plan for your PvP phase of the game.
That's a great question. All right, so two-part. You don't need to go on the marketplace for anything. You can just download the game and play it. And even if you're during global launch, when you find stuff in the game that's NFT related, you can keep it. And all the stuff that comes from the marketplace doesn't affect your stats or anything like that. It's just a way of like their skins, their cosmetic skins. So they may look like a weapon, they may look like an axe or something like that, but in reality, they're a different way of presenting the stats based weapon that you already have. So like, let's say you have a sword that you've really leveled up and you have high offense and you just want to make it look like an axe, well, you can buy a cosmetic skin that can do that. And that's what the marketplace does. When you play the game,
Okay,
like,
sorry. So you are planning only on putting cosmetic skins on the marketplace, because this is something that I'm pretty sure I missed during your AMA. Sorry.
well, two parts. So the cosmetic skins that are on the marketplace right now are only coming from users who find them inside the game and decide they don't want them for whatever reason. They're like, "Hey, I found this one, and this is so not in this season, or this doesn't work with my palette, and I'm going to sell it." Um, those cosmetic skins are just coming from users playing. There are other types of NFTs on the marketplace, like space. Those are not cosmetic. They allow you to craft and upgrade those NFTs that you do find inside the game. So let's say you find a pretty cool looking axe or something like that, and you want to level it up, not in a way of that affects gameplay, but you want to change the cosmetic version of it and customize it. Well, then you need to bring it into your space. All of that being said, none of our NFTs affect your stats or your ability to play the game.
Okay, that just the second question is how about the PvP? So do you have anything in mind except guild versus guild that you can leak right now?
So we have done some internal testing of like 1v1 playing. Um, we have definitely talked internally about incorporating PvP on a larger level, not just one versus one, but something larger than that. A lot of where we go next with like big strategic moves is going to be driven by the community, like you guys, like the people here in our spaces, like people on our Discord. Because we can go a variety of ways, but there is a limited amount of engineering, right? So we could do PvP, we could go to consoles, we could go to mobile. All of those things are big lifts, and kind of like honestly, like a big part of my job is figuring out exactly what's the most popular thing that people want to go to. All of those are good ideas, but which one we want to go to next and prioritize first is going to come from the community. My third part to your question, and I hope I haven't lost you, is we haven't really done or announced anything about guilds competing or anything like that, but we have talked extensively with esports about how to get them involved, and I have heard some great ideas. One of the ideas that I am personally very inclined towards is we pit two teams against each other, two teams of six, and we hit start on a timer, and then after X amount of time, we see which team has generated the most amount of XPs and leveled up the most. I love that. And that is a way where it's not PvP, but we can still get the esports component of it. Pick a group, pick some team members, and that way you can kind of go head to head, and we can set up the server for that. I think we're going to do that before the end of early access launch. I know I really want to see it, and I know I want to kind of help make that happen. We'll see if that's the case, though.
Regarding so like obviously we've collected a ton of skin NFTs, and with the forge and the space you're going to be able to upgrade that. My question is, we get a lot of duplicates. Will there be some sort of system where we're going to need duplicate skins in order to upgrade?
Yeah, you asked some interesting questions there about the guild and upgrading mechanics. Um, I can tell you when you do upgrade them that there are multiple inputs. One of them is the base layer NFT or NFTs, and there are some other things such as mining, which we have teased a little bit if you've been watching our Twitch streams. Um, there is a reason to have multiple of like common types of elements, but cumulatively, what a guild is, what I think their general strategy is going to be is to go for those rarer items and go for kind of more rare because they are going to probably get higher prices on the marketplace. Um, the questions that you're asking about the guild mechanics and how space works, we're probably, if I'm honest with you, we're probably at least a month away from releasing more details on it. Why? Because it's going through final testing right now. And what you're asking in terms of like exact quantities for inputs, outputs, sockets, stuff like that, you're going to get a very good answer on it, but it's probably like a month away.
Hi, thank you for bringing me on. By the way, I'm a gold pass holder. My first question is, I don't want to overlap, but the question that was just being asked. I want to ask about the space utility. I know there's Forge and the timekeeper to generate and also to participate the in-game economy. But what other utility that you guys are thinking about? When it comes to the space utility, anything abstract to this question is very welcome. And my second question is there any? I don't know if this is going to be a part of the roadmap, but I also want to know if the players will have their own space and maybe they can have an option to maybe create their own dungeon where players can come and play, and that may add to the space utility. I just want to know if these are the things that you may want to consider or thought about or have planned in the future.
All right, multi-part question. All really good questions. Utility of space. And it ties into the second question that you had. So space is how you unlock most of the NFT features inside the game. If you want to collect the in-game token, you need to have space. You're going to need to have space and then engage this thing called an hourglass. And then when you have that hourglass, it's basically a countdown timer. And while you play the game, you can collect the token. So number one, you want to get the token, you got to have space. Number two, it's an individualized, privatized area. You know how you used to have houses in Sims and you can customize the layout and stuff like that? Well, that's kind of what space is like, where you're going to be able to add some like features of it, customize it, really add your own personal flair to it, as well as add other things like armories, forges, so on and so forth that enable the NFT features. So number two, it's a private area. Number three, if you're operating as like a guild, it allows you to kind of mass upgrading and selling your NFTs that your players find inside the game. So let's say you have some players or scholars or something to that effect, and they're just casual players. They find some NFTs and they want to bring it to you so you can upgrade them and then put them on the marketplace. Well, if you want to be a fully functioning guild, then you're going to need to have space. You can find space in the game. It's just very, very rare. And when you have millions of players every month fighting over what is a relatively small amount of space that's falling over the course of several years, well, it definitely behooves you to buy space right off the bat.
So I have a question about different earning opportunities. Will there be some kind of staking, maybe space staking, and can I rent my space, for example, to my friend?
Yeah, there will be an asset permissioning feature that's going to be very intimately tied into our guild feature, for lack of a better way of describing it. It's not so much guild specific, but that's, I think, the best way for people to conceptualize it. Where on a technical level, you are going to be able to permission things out like, hey, this player over here can use this feature of my space, or, I can enable them to collect a token while my hourglass is enabled. So that will all come out, and it'll be, the idea is that it can be scalable between guys who or excuse me players who don't have a ton of space or assets, all the way up to some very, very large guilds. So there will be that feature inside, but I want to caveat it real quick. On a technical level, it's not hard to do that. On a programming standpoint, it's actually pretty straightforward. What we are very concerned about is making sure we balance it right so that those features in some way do not detract from a fun user experience. So that's what we're going through the final testing right now. We already have a mechanics, and we've already released quite a number of details on it, but we're going through the final testing right now because once we launch it, this thing is going to go off on that trajectory for years, and we want to make sure that where it takes people is enjoyable, it's fun, and it's fair.
Hey guys, Thanks for the AMA. I have a very quick question. Are you guys planning a long-term relationship between Big Time and Generative Dungeon? And if so, how do you guys see it?
So this is my plan. After the Twitter space, I'm just going to tag Matt into Discord, and we are gonna have a long, long talk. And then we are going to put Generative Dungeon inside of the Big Time. But I mean, I don't really see why not if they are done. But right now, since I mean, I think it's obvious that I was a little bit more excited in this AMA more than usual because of my love for Big Time. But I can't really think of anything off the top of my head right now. Matt, do you have something to say for that?
Yeah, we're going through kind of a unique partnership phase right now where we're determining, after assuming a successful global launch, where we go to next and who we partner with next. And so there's a bunch of ways we can go. And I will say that no matter where we end up going, we need to focus on launching our game well first. And I'm sure Generative Dungeon will say the same thing. Like, if they don't have a good game and a good product first, then their partnerships aren't going to mean much because nobody's going to want to partner with them. So we're doing the same thing. There's so many different ways we can incorporate them into our gameplay in the future. I don't know. They're like, the sky is the kind of the limit here. So I look forward to whatever that dialogue is, and then seeing where we end up. But I don't know. Getting Generative Dungeon inside of Big Time, I think would be great. Generative Dungeon inside a procedurally generated dungeon would be what people are asking for. I think we got time for one more question, and then I got something for your community I want to do.
No, just one question because I'm very curious about the team. Like, you have a very good team. I remember, like, at the beginning, I kept hearing like that the creators of Fortnite made it, and that you have devs from Fortnite and also like from EA and Riot and everything. Set this up, like how you got these connections to pull off such a team.
You're right. So just off the top of my head, we have original developers from Fortnite, League of Legends, Gears of War, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, and there's more. I mean, there's more. Okay, how did we get that team together? Well, two parts. I think people saw what Big Time's trying to do, which is, hey, first AAA rated blockchain game. And I think honestly, people were like, oh, that's overdue. Let's get on this train. They saw that this idea had merit. Number two, it all started with the founders, Ari and Thor. Ari founded Decentraland in 2017, I think. 2016, 2017. That's still the largest blockchain game by market cap. It's huge. It's still huge. And the only reason he left is because the DAO kind of took over ownership there. But like, that guy is a visionary. Every time I listen to him talk, I'm like, wow, that's pretty profound what he's saying. So you have somebody who's been successful bringing together a new team, and I think people like the idea, and I think that's why we were able to bring in so much talent. Great question.